It's time for another edition of Around the Nest, where we go up, down, left, right, every direction around the Blue Jays minor league system, talking prospects, talking happenings, and you know what? Having some fun along the way. Tyler Zickel from Vancouver here, and today, a relatively limited nest, though we're going to have some late arrivals, but most importantly, the lieutenant himself, Tyler Murray. Good day from AA New Hampshire. Happy Friday, my friend. How's it going at the Tooth in downtown Manch?
It's wild to think we have two homestands left after this one. Now, one of them is a 12-gamer, so 6-game homestand back-to-back. But we're saying just two homestands left. It's wild to believe. I just hope we have an off-season around the nest schedule lined up. So I'm going to rely on you for that because I'm going to miss this when it's over.
I feel like we could probably try to convince Leo Mui, our intrepid producer, to perhaps do a monthly installment. And whether we go rogue, go independent, maybe we start our own media company, TNT Productions, and we just start releasing the podcast on our own. I mean, we stand on the shoulders of giants.
Black market around the nest, that'll go for big money. I think. Good idea.
I think there is a corner, maybe a dark corner of Twitter that would welcome us with open arms. Now, back to business here. It's been a full week since Austin Martin and Simeon Woods Richardson had been traded to the Twins organization for the Mr. Barrios himself, who had a terrific debut at the big league level, but down in AA, certainly a big impact, losing two impact makers, specifically Austin Martin, who could play all over the field. So a week since the deal, where have the chips fallen for the Kitty Cats?
It's been great to see guys like Kevin Vicuña play some more natural positions like shortstop and second base. He had a huge play late in the game yesterday to get the second out in the ninth inning. He'd been at first base for most of the year. And now I got to see Jordan Groshans just about every day at shortstop. That's been really nice. That arm, it's showing up a lot more than I had realized. His mobility is improving. One of my, knocks on Groshans early was a little bit of stiffness with the lower half. It wasn't smooth out there. And we would later find out that he wasn't fully healthy. It didn't seem like maybe some hamstring issues, some concerns in that department. But he looks like, at least lately, your everyday shortstop. So that's been great to see. And then we had a pretty fun outfield yesterday, too, with Reggie Pruitt, Samad Taylor, Chavez Young, three pretty animated guys. They did the old dance after a win thing yesterday. So the guys are still having fun. Austin Martin, I think, had a walk-off single yesterday for the Wichita Wind Surge Twins AA. So he's doing pretty well. It might just be a win-win trade in the end.
That's what we can only hope for. That's a win-win deal is a win-win-win for us around the nest because we have nothing but good to talk about. Now, as it relates to Jordan Groshans, did you give him any tips and tricks for lower body mobility? I know you specifically very experienced in rehabbing your own legs and groin and hips. I've seen it myself firsthand there at the ballpark in our office back in the day.
Obviously, I did not do that, Zick. But yes, the folks who may have been at Blue Jays spring training in 2013, seeing the kid walking around in a boot with crutches, yes, that was me. And no, I'm still feeling the effects of that almost 10 years later, Zick. So I am the last person to ask about a rehab, but Groshans, he knows what he's doing.
I know I can catch you for a rehab on a Sunday day game, that's for sure, but a different kind of rehab, that's for sure. Now, curious to know, Vinny Capra, his legend continues to grow. He goes up to AAA, gets to play in that series, I think at Worcester, where Chris Sale made the start. There was a big home run that might have sailed over his head in left field, just looking from the highlights on Twitter. But now he's returned and has picked up where he left off, had an incredible game just recently, and is certainly somebody who is quickly etching himself into Fisher Cats lore.
Yesterday, I caught myself thinking back to when Todd Helton almost hit 400 for the Rockies back when we were kids, and he wound up in like 380, but there was like a watch every single day because Vinny Capra's at 381. He had another 4-hit game yesterday, a 2-run infield single in the 8th because Chavez Young hustled in from second base. And I got a little disappointed that he was there for 5 games in AAA, only 8 at-bats. So I was hoping it would be a legitimate, okay, we can't keep you in AA anymore. You're just hitting everything. Let's see what you do in AAA. But the fact that he's back here, unfortunately, makes it feel like it's just more of still an organizational depth status for him. But if he keeps hitting like this, it's just impossible to ignore. So hopefully just a logistical thing is the reason he's back here. Otto Lopez getting the call up as the corresponding move as your league leader in batting average. So that makes sense. But Vinny Capra can't do anything more to get the attention of the Blue Jays. So it's good to see.
Maybe he's creating a brand new position. We hear about these 4A players that go from AAA to the big leagues, kind of caught in that gray zone in between. Is Vinny Capra changing the game in terms of becoming maybe a AA.5 type of guy?
The short answer is yes, Vinny Capra is changing the game. Long answer, I will not get into about the AA.5, but I like where your head went there. Good job.
Completely changing gears. Tell us about Johnny Barbado. This is a guy who we touched on when he was recently signed to that minor league deal and has seemingly been plodding along as a part of that rotation. As a guy who certainly can get outs, but there have been some ups, there have been some downs. And as the elder statesman for the Fisher Cats, what has his role continued to develop into?
I will say that our terrific radio assistant this year, Nathan Strauss, is a big fan of just about every single player on the Fisher Cats, which we love. Obviously, of course, we love every single player, but he has said that Johnny Barbado gave him the best interview, the most sincere and endearing conversation he's had with anybody so far this year. So it's been great having him on the team as a leader. Now, initially, his first few starts, you kind of got the sense, all right, this is the professional veteran pitcher who's played for the Yankees, Pirates, and Tigers that we need. Come in, throw strikes, command the zone, keep hitters off balance. Lately, it's kind of been hit or miss. He gave up 5 runs earlier this week against Hartford in just 2 innings. Hartford, the last place team. But the outing before that, he beat the Portland Sea Dogs, the first place team in the league, giving up 1 run in 5 innings. So it's interesting to see even big league veterans, when they're in AA, he can still struggle with consistency. That's what everyone's trying to get after. And you can put Barbado on that list.
Last 6 weeks of the season, obviously plenty more round the nest episodes to go between now and the end of the regular season on September 19th. But checking the standings today, Fisher Cats clawing their way back up, not where you'd like to be. I think 11.5 out of the top spot in the division. And, you know, I don't know if playoffs are in the cards for anybody but the Buffalo Bisons this year. But from your perspective in the catbird seat there in downtown Manchester, I mean, is there a scenario where you see Somerset and Portland kind of taking their foot off the gas as perhaps some promotions around the league might be able to change up the overall vibe?
Yeah, you're on it, Zick. The promotions for the Sea Dogs especially has really made things interesting up at Hadlock Field. They had won, I think it was 15 games in a row. And then the Fisher Cats came into town against the Sea Dogs team they had real trouble with, as you know. They take 4 out of 6 pretty convincingly. And then they've taken 2 out of 3 from the Argoats this week. So I maybe see Portland coming back down to earth, which honestly would be a bit of a shame because they haven't had a winning season in so many years. It's been a lot of fun to watch them compete this year, but they've lost 7 of 10 now all of a sudden. Somerset, they've won 8 out of 10. It looks like they'll be fine, but the Fisher Cats are very much alive. But as we know, step 1, get back to 500. They're 37-40. They're closer to 500 than they've been in months. And the consistency we're seeing and their ability to beat good teams, and in the case of Hartford this week, take care of business against some of the bottom feeders, that's been impressive. So playoffs, I'd be a fool to guarantee it, but I think fans are glad they exist now because there's something to shoot for, and it's not totally out of the realm of possibility.
Certainly something that is a similar scenario with Vancouver here in High A, and we can jump right into some C's talk unless there's anything else, Tyler, you feel as though rather pertinent. I know I could go on and on with you for probably a few hours or more, pretty much every single workday, 9 to 5 in the off season from 2018 till 2020. That's was right. One long podcast in our office every day, minus some Lord of the Rings soundtrack music. But regardless of that, I feel the same way about the C's. It's been up, it's been down, better baseball of late, a great team win in Spokane to wrap the series on Sunday against a team that continues to be really hot, taking down Everett the last couple of nights to help their own cause and cement themselves in 3rd place. The Canadians find themselves battling for 4th. They won the first 2 games against Hillsborough on Tuesday and Wednesday, lost last night, just a well-pitched game by 4 different bullpen pitchers for the Diamondbacks affiliate, but I don't know where to feel. You know me, I'm a guy who's going to be Mr. Positive, but certainly you have to temper some of those expectations with the reality of it that, are you really going to leapfrog 2 teams to get into that 2nd position? Although Everett here in the High A West having a similar situation as the Sea Dogs are having out there in AA, losing a lot of their players and suddenly seeing their 1st place lead over 2nd place Eugene at 4.5. I'm kind of at a loss for words right now. Not sure where to go after game 81 last night.
Well, what I know is that I want to go in the direction of Aurelvis Martinez. Okay.
Yes.
Away it goes. We've heard it a couple of times. I want to hear more. Great home run calls. This guy, I mean, it's tough to live up to the hype. I mean, we've we try to figure out how tough it is, right, to go from low A to high A. It's the new jump, I guess, in the new 120 team setup. Is it real? Is it consistent? What are your takeaways from Aurelvis Martinez so far?
2 hits in 3 games, and both have been home runs to left field. So it's clear in the early goings that he is not overmatched by high A West pitching. That being said, he is making his debut against a team that pitches well in the Hillsboro Hops, but isn't a dominant pitching club, though a good test tonight as the Seas take on a first rounder, Blake Walston, left-hander for the Diamondbacks affiliate, who gave the Seas some trouble in his first start last month against Vancouver. So it'll be exciting to see Aurelvis taking on some top 10 prospect competition as the number 4 Blue Jays prospect himself. But the bat speed is there. Last night, we saw his defense on display for the first time, part of a couple double plays, including one that he turned on his own, fielding a ground ball, scampering to second base, and making a really strong throw, navigating a hard sliding base runner to get the throw in time and hit Phil Clark right in the chest. So the first baseman didn't have to do much to receive it. So it's been nice to see. Obviously, he gets so much love for his bat. We've talked a little bit about all of the comparisons and the talent evaluators. Adrian Beltre allegedly is the comp for the young 19-year-old Aurelvis. And so we'll see if he can find a way to get some non-home runs over these next couple of games. But certainly we fed the Twitter beast, and I'm hearkening back to the days of 2018 at Dunkin' Donuts Park in Hartford, filming Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s first double A home run. And you know what? Salute to the bus driver, Sal, for clapping over the audio, but we got the footage and fed the Twitter beast as we did all year 3 years ago. And I'm feeling some of the similar vibes with Aurelvis.
Yeah, imagine getting invited into the broadcast booth and your instinct when someone makes history is to clap as loudly as you can near the crowd mic. You know, everyone's not as experienced as you, Zick. I get it. So it's been interesting because the Canadian Tire Canadians Baseball Network has largely been played in Hillsboro this year, and you guys are on the road, but at home because you're hosting Hillsboro, but Hillsboro is hosting you. Can you clean up what I just said and explain?
It's pretty wacky and wild, and the way you described it pretty much sets the scenario here, in that this is the first of 2 series where the Canadians are the home team in Hillsboro's ballpark. And last night was the first time we really saw the maleffects of that. It was probably 80-20 Hillsboro fans, as you would expect. The Hops front office also came out for a group outing, so a little extra juice there as well. And their hometown team awarded them with a 4-1 win. But certainly it provides an opportunity to show the Hops, hey, we can win in your ballpark. They're a 500 team at Ron Tonkin Field, and after last night's loss to the Seas, 1 game below 500 as the home team and as the visitors in the 2 previous series that they've played the Hops in Oregon's Tualatin Valley. So just one of those quirky setups this year that when we look back on this season 10 years from now, we'll say, man, what an odd occurrence that was. And the difference, say, to 2016 when the Yard Goats were roommates with the Fisher Cats, this time around, fans are in the ballpark and we're selling tickets and putting on a Canadian show to the best of our ability. But one of the things I've talked about with a number of the players over the last 6 weeks or so is that we can really feel here in the dog days of summer how that lack of a home crowd takes away some of that energy that you could get in close games late. We saw it the other way in Spokane last week, a number of early leads dissipating in the later innings because the crowd was behind the Indians and they really fed off that energy. So you could say what you want about the crowd impacting or not. I think we saw it in the big leagues as well last year in the pandemic season. So I would love to see this team play in front of a full house. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, you want to talk about wins above replacement? Well, the war for the fans in Vancouver, I'd say, is about 10 wins. I think there'd be 10 games this year. And mind you, that's over 10% of the 80 games that could have swung the other way if the Seas were playing as the home team in their home ballpark. So just one of those 2021 quirks that you have to, as my former boss, your current boss likes to say, make lemonade out of lemons.
It's interesting, Zick, because we've found that fans just seem to be happy to be back out at a stadium, root for the home team. All we do is make noise on the video board and they go nuts. I remember when you had to do a rain dance and an interpretive dance routine on top of the dugout for 15 minutes to get anything going. I mean, it was incredible. That's why you're one of the best in the game. But it's fun to have that energy back in the ballpark. And I honestly, I really can't wait to get the Nat back up and running because they'll also get to see some of the top pitchers for this season. I was going to ask about Adam Klopfenstein, CJ Van Eyck. Are they still holding it down?
They've had two of their best outings of the season this past week. Van Eyck set the tone in the series opener against Hillsborough on Tuesday, 5 shutout innings, and really looked terrific. A guy who certainly has had plenty of ups and his fair share of downs in his first pro season after coming out of Florida State last year, and somebody who clearly is going to improve with more experience in the professional ranks. You're learning how to go about your business differently. And having been in AA for the last 3 seasons and now being in high A this year, it's really relevant and apparent to me how guys in the upper minors have really keyed in on those factors of their game that A, are their best, and B, are their worst, so that they can work on them. And so that's still being established, especially with guys maybe playing a little higher than they normally would have, save for the cancellation last year and the restructuring that changed up the minor league systems and allows younger, less experienced players to get to say high A as they have this year. Klopfenstein the other night, following Van Eyck, 5 2/3, gave up 2 runs for over the first 2 batters, a leadoff double, and then a 2-run homer for an early 2-0 deficit. The C's rallied to tie it over the next 2 innings. And from there, Klopfenstein with 5 2/3 scoreless. So after that second batter, he was good to go, passed the torch to the bullpen, and all told, the C's did a terrific job limiting the hops in their home ballpark, but as the visitors. But a good sign for Klopfenstein, who didn't walk a batter as well and established a new season high with 7 strikeouts. So good to see Clough in his age 20 season try and figure it out. Van Eyck the same way. And one of their benefits is youth. But in a first full season back for Klopfenstein and first ever for Van Eyck, 2 guys that I think show a lot of promise and now are suddenly ranked as the number 6 and number 7 prospects in the Blue Jays system. So now the Canadians, after having nobody really, I mean, Klopfenstein, Van Eyck were there, but now 3 in the top 10. You add in Will Robertson and Tanner Morris as well, who's recently cracked the list. And so it's an exciting last 6-week stretch as Klopfenstein and Van Eyck figure it out. Martinez continues to do his thing, and I'm excited to chat with Andrew Thriffiley from Loy Dunedin, since I get to do the O updates these days, and also seeing Tanner Morris put together a really excellent season, albeit quietly. So all around, we'll take it as it comes.
Since AT, my guy is back or in the house. One more question for you before I let you take the reins again. Phil Clark, he's coming alive at the plate lately. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, the average is on the rise, north of 220 these days. Hit his first 2 home runs of the season and at the level last week in Spokane. And just really cool to see when he left the yard for the first time in the series opener, rounding second base, gave the bullpen a kind of a big, like, let's go, because he'd been down there with those guys for 3 weeks when he was on the shelf with that injured thumb. So just great to see a guy who's certainly been putting a lot of pressure on himself, coming from an elite program like Vanderbilt. He's a college World Series champion, lots of high expectations as a top 10 round pick. And so a guy who certainly wants the most for himself. And he said it in an interview that I did with him a couple of weeks ago. He was really pressing and kind of overthinking, overanalyzing, and not finding that flow state that we find is a key to success for so many guys. So Phil took that forced time off, didn't have to fix the plane while it was flying, was able to get back into that kind of centered place that he was in college and to start his pro career 2 years ago in Vancouver. And it's shown. A couple of triples, more doubles than we've seen from him over this short stretch, and somebody who can really be relied on in the 6th and 7th position in the order. And 1 through 6 or 7 for the Canadians these days, Donnie Murphy has more of a wealth of riches than ever, thanks to the recent promotion of Aurelvis Martinez, the emergence of Will Robertson after the injury, and some other guys who have been stalwarts throughout the year as well.
Excellent stuff. Keep up the great work out there. It's crazy how many fans and coworkers leave our games, turn on the Canadian Tire Canadians Baseball Network, right, usually around the beer league lager 4th, and then tuning into Zick. So keep up the great work, man, and go C's.
Thanks, LT. You know, we're keeping it in the family, and away we go down to Loy Dunedin to bring in none other than Andrew Thriffiley. AT, good day. You made the bus ride, and really appreciate your dedication to the nest. You could have said, look, it's a travel day. I'm not going to be there, but here you are, like the rising sun in the east, setting in the west. You give us the Loy Dunedin updates today on the nest.
Yeah, the team got a late bus ride since we won last night, a little perk for winning. So took full advantage of it, but could have missed you guys. It's the high point of every week. Isn't that right?
I mean, you know what? You would make a terrific politician. I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, I am the one who gets to selfishly say that I just gave the O update, and you heard some of it. And so how does it feel to no longer have this young 19-year-old stud as a part of the fun down there in low A? But he left a great taste in everybody's mouth as the player of the month in the low A Southeast. What a July Orelvis had.
Yeah, I'm just sad that I missed the update. I really wish I could have been there for that. But like you said, for him to get to go up to Vancouver and have this one last accolade in Dunedin of being the player of the month, obviously well-deserved. He led the league in so many different categories. But I think the thing that we're going to see now is maybe guys feeling like they have to make the play or they have to get the big hit, maybe not relying on, or Elvis is in the lineup, he's just going to do it. If we need a big hit, it's going to come from Elvis. Now we maybe just need everyone, all 1 through 9, to come up with a hit when we need it. So we'll see how it goes. So far in the series against Fort Myers, a good Fort Myers team, showing out so far.
Have we seen any addition of 2021 draftees just yet? Shame on me for not checking the roster of the DJs to see any of those moves. I know we just had Hayden Yinger added to the Vancouver roster, 6th-round pick out of Missouri State, and he had a perfect debut as a pro last night in front of his family here in Portland and Hillsborough area. 1 inning, 2 strikeouts, nothing doing, had a great time out there. So who are we seeing from this year's draft class with the DJs?
Yeah, Dayton Flyer, Riley Terada. He played in both games of the doubleheader to start his career, gets his first hit on the first pitch he sees as a professional. So it's the best way to do it. And then a second at bat, he sees 1 pitch again, gets another hit, goes 3 hits across both games in the doubleheader. And then last night he gets another hit. So he's on a 3-game hit streak to start his career. So good for him. Matt Swanson from Lehigh, believe I have that correct. Pitched well in his couple of innings to finish up the win in the first game. Justin Kelly gave up a home run, but he did get his first strikeout of his career, so always good to get that out of the way. And then Harry Rutkowski also got his first strikeout. So nice to get some of the firsts out of the way for everybody, and hopefully they can settle in with the team. That it'll be interesting to see how a dynamic is for the guys when you come in 80 games into a season, just trying to figure out where you fit in. So I think they're still trying to figure that out. But so far, signs are looking good.
Any Stetson Hatters on the club?
I don't believe so. No Stetson Hatters. Sorry.
Tyler Murray in New Hampshire. Please tell Bob Lippman that he'll have to wait for more Stetson Hatters to come through the system.
I forget even why we started that. It must have been the Mets World Series with DeGrom, and Ernie Johnson was saying, "Oh, it's a Stetson Hatter every half inning." But look, if you got him, let us know. AT, thank you.
Well, yeah, big Stetson Hatter stands for the millennials out there. That's a first. We need T-shirts, LT. Well, enough with my nonsense, Andrew. What about some of the stalwarts you've been checking in on every single week? Our guy Sem, certainly a guy that I try to check on every so often from over here on the Pacific Northwest. Also, a couple guys coming out of the low A Dunedin roster, Gabriel Ponce, Andrew Bash coming up to high A as well. So anybody filling those roles over the first couple of games since those guys got the promotion?
Yeah, like I said, the 2021 draftees are starting to try to fill those roles. Sem last night went 5 innings, didn't give up a run, gave up 1 hit, struck out 4. Over his last 17, he's given up 2 earned, 2 runs total even, with 13 strikeouts and 4 walks. So he is very dominant right now. Great to see. I think right now you look at a guy in terms of position players, Stuart Baroa has kind of been the one that is kind of taking over the clubhouse and bringing the guys in from the draftees and telling them we are a family and we all are rooting for each other to go out and play well every day. So I think he's kind of been that guy. And right now he has 27 stolen bases since July 1st, which leads all of minor league baseball. And now he leads the Southeast League in stolen bases. So exciting for him.
Well, certainly great to know that despite the fact that the rosters continue to shuffle, the DJs continue to DJ. And you think about what would be happening if, say, May went a little differently. You weren't scheduled to play against the Tampa Tarpons so many gosh darn times. I mean, I don't think that should be allowed going forward. In fact, let's make it illegal. I'll start the proposition. I'll collect the signatures. I'll mail it to you, first class postage. So stay tuned, check your inbox. But this team from June to now, it's been quite the motor. I mean, yes, Orelvis Martinez is a big part of that, but so many other guys who are still with the DJs contributing to some recent success. It's been fun to watch from afar, and I'm sure you've enjoyed certainly a lot more high fives and handshakes on the field after W's.
Yeah, I was looking at it today, and I feel like I keep referencing July 1st as that day where like things feel like they've kind of changed. And it's soon after our, or right towards the end of our 2-week road trip where we went to St. Lucie and Palm Beach. And when you look at the numbers from a hitting standpoint, we're first and second in almost every important category, which is great to see. We've scored the most runs in the league. We're just trying to like it's been throughout the whole season. The pitching staff may be falling behind some, but Drew Hayes has done a great job of really molding these guys. We've seen a lot of promotions, so obviously the guys are performing well, maybe just not getting the results exactly as you want. But since July 1st, we've only lost one series. So, I mean, that's always good to see. We've just been getting to the weekends and haven't been able to finish off series wins, but always good to not lose series. And still time, 11 games out, I believe, right now for second place. Split the series with Bradenton last week. So we keep giving hope, even though everybody might feel like we're out of it. We're hanging around, I promise you. If you look deeper into those numbers, even though we're 11 out, there is a chance, trust me.
The D and DJs could stand for dogged, durable, and of late dominant. AT, any final words from our friends down there in the Low A Southeast?
I think the thing I can say right now is this team's having a lot of fun. After the win last night, they were dancing in the clubhouse, celebrating Wilfran Estudillo's birthday, enjoying being around each other. And I think that's always good to see, because obviously in May, when you're not winning as much, things can get hard and people can get a little down and feel like things aren't going to turn around. But I think these guys really enjoy being with each other, and it's fun to see.
AT, as always, a update from Low A Dunedin, and we thank you very much. No Pat Malacaro today because he's got an ops day at Salem Field as they get set to welcome back fans for Buffalo Bison's games, but he is very excited to provide an update about the homecoming next week. So because of that, we've reached the end of Around the Nest. This might be the shortest episode ever, much to the pleasure of some, displeasure of most, we hope. And our intrepid producer, Leo Mui, always appreciate your efforts as well, my friend, despite the fact that Leo has said he does not want to share his experience of Rogers Center opening day last week. But you know what, Leo, I certainly support your desire to be the mystery man in the background, because none of this is possible without your help. And Leo, I'm only calling you out as you blow up the chat here on our Zoom meeting because I want to honor you. I want to give you your flowers, if you will. You were at the game, the biggest game in Toronto sports in over a year of any sport. And you were still so committed to Around the Nest that you were uploading the audio, editing the audio, in fact, from your seat at Rogers Center. So this is me standing up to give our friend Leo Mui a terrific round of applause, as he was the one to make it happen, not just this week, but every week. And doesn't matter where he is, he's making it happen. So Leo, cheers to you. And you can certainly take your bows, and even a curtain call would be accepted. Gents, we've done it. Another episode of Around the Nest is in the books, out of the egg. It's been hatched and it's going to take its flight as soon as Leo does its editing. But you know what? As always, gentlemen, Tyler Murray, Andrew Thriffiley, always a pleasure chatting with you both. And here's to making it a system sweep today, some way, somehow. Fingers crossed, prayers sent. And gents, we'll talk to you next week.